Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. I have a question for you.
Okay.
We jumping right to it?
Sure. We don't have time for back and forth here on the morning share. It's Monday.
It's Monday.
Okay. Hit me.
Did you ever watch Disney movies growing up?
Of course.
Of course. Well, one of my favorites, watching with the kiddos, and then also just on my own growing up,
Okay.
was the Alice in Wonderland. Did you ever see this?
I think so.
It's pretty iconic, but specifically, there's a whole scene in the show with this caterpillar, and only the animators of Disney could do something so fantastic.
Okay.
But it's a huge caterpillar. He's smoking hookah. He's on a mushroom, and Alice has shrunk already, and she's finding her way through the craziness of the forest, and she looks upon this caterpillar, and in amongst smoke cloud, he asks, "Who are you?" And so Alice tries to respond, and she's a little flustered, and she articulates that she's not quite sure who she is, that she was a different person this morning even, and now she's trying to sort out who she is currently.
Which we can relate to.
Absolutely. I feel like some days I have multiple personalities through my own day, not really sure from moment to moment what's going to crop up.
Yeah. And that's basically what we're asking this week. Who am I?
Yeah. Who am I?
Who am I?
Oh, goodness. It's not prepared for that.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Oh,
Are you prepared to be vulnerable?
yes.
Okay. And authentic?
Yes.
If I asked you who you really are, and I gave you a name tag,
Okay.
and you had to
Like
write.
the sticky kind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could you write who you really are on that name tag?
Probably up until about a year ago, absolutely not. I would have told you probably what I do and who I am to other people, but not things that are intrinsically me. And then I think over the last year, through deep diving into my own story, my own past up until now, and sorting through the difference in roles and identity, I feel like I can articulate that a little bit more. So what about you?
Yeah, I would say similar story where I'm evaluating, like looking back on the last decades of my life and trying to figure out who I am. Overall, as an individual, who I am in this season, who I am today, who I was at breakfast, like Alice.
Yes.
So yeah, I would say I think I could put that on a name tag. But I'm definitely in the throes of figuring out who I am.
Yeah. It's a lifelong journey. And I would think to some degree, I don't know if we ever fully understand who we are, but in this season, I feel most like myself and be able to articulate that. So this week we're talking about authenticity. And what does that mean? Dee?
I think authenticity is knowing what you believe, knowing how you feel, what you want, and then living out of that space.
Yeah, I think that's a good definition in that it implies that it's an ever-growing and evolving process because in any given season, what you believe, what you want, and what you feel can be changed. One of my girls always says, I reserve the right to change my mind. And so living in this space where you are free to change your perspective as you gain more understanding and knowledge, change your mind on things, and then giving other people that freedom, I think is a space where you can cultivate authenticity within yourself and others.
Yeah. Carl Jung actually says the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are.
Man, that's deep.
It feels like there's a call in that.
And to me, it implies that you're becoming something you already are. Instead of trying to ever add to your resume of who you are, you're really just going kind of backwards to who you were made
Going inwards.
to be. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's this other quote that I read recently, and it's been transformative for me and been really impactful in the way I think about authenticity. And it says that authenticity is about alignment. And that's another word we're going to unpack soon. But so it's an alignment between what you say, what you do, and who you are. And when those are all in alignment, we call that congruence. And then all of those things have to be going in the same direction. And that's where the magic happens.
And that's when you are living authentically. That's what you'd say.
Yes, definitely. I think there's that alignment takes place when all those factors of who you are inside and then also how you're living in your space, that is the truest form of authenticity, I would think.
Okay, so just curious if there's been a time in your life where you have felt misaligned or been living inauthentically.
Yeah, I think this happened years ago when I was participating in a local Bible study and realized per prompts in the Bible study that I was not living authentic to who I really was. It was more about using I've always been this way, a false sense of identity or a false sense of authenticity as a way not to actually live my authentic self.
Wow.
And so the inauthenticity was actually a mask and was masquerading as authenticity.
Wow.
So that was definitely a awakening of sorts. What about you?
I was in some sort of social setting and I was with my friend and she was introducing me to the people around us and literally had just moved home from living in China for 8 years. And I had confided in her, about the struggles I was feeling and facing with kind of reverse culture shock and adjusting to life back in America. And so she introduces me to her friend and her friend was like, "Oh, wow, that story is incredible. How are you adjusting?" And I was like, "Good, great." And my friend looked at me and she was like, because she knew the truth of that I wasn't doing well at all with that transition back to the States. And I did a lot of reflecting on that moment of the need for me to say, "I'm great. I'm good. I've got this all together. I'm not struggling." And of course, she called me out on it later. She was like, "Why did you answer that?" And so now, actually, as just a practice, when someone even asks me, "How was your day?" or "How have you been?" or whatever, I don't just say, "I'm good." And if I do, my people will be like, "Really?" I take a moment to pause and check in with myself, and try to give the honest answer. So that was definitely a turning point for me.
That's impactful and certainly I think resonates probably with everybody around that we've all done that. I think there are times where we get in a habit of responding a certain way. And it require us to be vulnerable. Because to be authentic and tell somebody how you really feel in response right there would have also required you to be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
So that's how we see how vulnerability and authenticity really do kind of go together.
They're foundational
for
to
sure.
each other.
So in talking through authenticity, there's another word that comes to mind, which is integrity. And integrity is such a big character word, such a big goal for so many people. But what's the difference in those two words?
So authenticity it's more inward facing.
Okay.
And then outward expression. So think about it like this is who you are, who I am. And then integrity is actually the opposite. It's outward facing first. It's rooted in ethics. It's honor. Probably the men are resonating right now that are listening. Like, yes, I'm a man of integrity. So it's outward facing first, then inward reflection. So it's actually how you live. Authenticity, who you are. Integrity is how you live.
Right. And I think some people would be thinking those are the same things, but they are definitely not.
Yep.
Definitely. There's examples about how you can live with authenticity and not integrity.
Right.
Or you can live with integrity but lack authenticity.
Yes.
Right? So there's all kinds of different combinations of the two. But when those two align, what happens?
That's where the power lies.
And we call that
Wholeness.
and alignment, because the inward and the outward are working together.
Yes.
Moving in the same direction. You resonate within your own skin, and then that can't help but influence the people around you.
Absolutely. So this week, notice the moments where your authenticity and integrity meet and where they don't.
Because on Wednesday, we're going to deep dive into authenticity.
Yes.
And distinguish the difference in authenticity and our identity from the roles that we play. And then see how walking in that space can then transform ourselves and then transform those around us, as well as how we interact with those.
Absolutely. So excited about the discussion.
Yep. See you later.